Alrighty, welcome to mid-February, post-Super Bowl, pre-March Madness. Yeah, I don't care about the trademark infringement, Dan. You're not supposed to say March Madness, but I just said March Madness, pre-March Madness. This is PA High School Football Report. Eric Epler, with now veteran PennLive sports reporter. I feel like you've been here long enough that we can call you
Almost
a
half a
PennLive
decade.
veteran,
Almost
right?
half a decade now.
Has it been that long? 5 years already.
5 years in September in July. So
Wow, it does not seem that long.
yeah, it's because of
Maybe it's
my
all those just breezy conversations with you.
fresh
Kit
face.
Macker, Dan Sostek. Dan, I got to first say good evening, buddy. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, we don't get a ton of evening episodes, so
We don't.
and especially during basketball season when we're pretty much every night of the week we're out at a hoops game. But Wednesday was an open day for both of us, so here we are.
Here we are too, and I'm dying to know first of all your opinion on this particular part of Super Bowl LX. Bad Bunny, full book report. Go.
Well, I was a little bit down in the dumps already because I could kind of see where the football game itself was going. So I was like, it wasn't exactly like I was there, hands, face in hands, kind of staring. But
Right.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was like the set design was cool. I didn't like. I mean, I heard it's working too because at the Milton Hershey basketball game they were playing some Bad Bunny before quarters and stuff, and so
Yes,
I guess it's working. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like people are going to remember the Bad Bunny show. They're not like how many people can even remember who played like 3 years ago. Like no one's even gonna no one remembers the Weeknd's halftime show because it was just a guy.
You think in 3 years people are gonna be talking about the Bad Bunny?
Well, they're not gonna be talking about the music, but they're gonna be talking about how how both sides of pro and anti Bad Bunny turned it into some sort of statement on everything. And I was just like, he's the most streamed artist in the world, and the NFL wants.
It's a performance, people. Like this. Well, first of all, I didn't watch it because I don't care about halftime.
You're probably going to you're at the age where you're going to the bathroom, right?
Yeah, multiple times.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with not liking Bad Bunny. I'm sure he's a fantastic dude. I'm sure his music's awesome. Everybody loves him.
Yeah.
He's a zillionaire, like you said. He's downloaded 17 billion times. Hey, great for him. I have no problem with Bad Bunny or whatever message he sends during the show. I just don't care about Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah,
I don't care one single stitch about it.
I care when it's an artist I really like. Like when Bruce plays, when Springsteen plays, I
still don't care. I just like, to me, I don't need the music and stuff. Like I'm there to watch a football game.
Yeah.
Like it's different. Like in high school, like I enjoy listening to marching bands because it's pure. These kids play their tails off. They practice like 19 hours a day. You know what I mean? And these halftime shows are so overproduced that if it was just a band on a stage, I probably would listen. I probably would tune in.
I mean, the ones I've always liked. I mean, the U2 one in 2001 after 9/11 was pretty good because that was more of a almost a 9/11 memorial as it was a halftime show, kind of like that sort of thing. Prince, everyone always cites the Prince one as being really good.
Yeah.
I just like Bruce Springsteen, so I'll always.
Well, if you like the artist, okay, I get it.
Yeah, but then the other ones, it's just like Katy Perry one. Everyone talking more about the shark than Katy Perry. There's just
Shark, right?
Yeah, but it's like I just don't understand how anyone had strong opinions either way. It's just like it's to fill the time. It's to get Apple Music's name out there, and
I think it's partly to justify the $1,500 face value tickets.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
You know what I mean? I feel like the NFL has to do that. Has to do something.
And also, there's a lot of as I know you're a gambling connoisseur. There's a lot of money to be made.
Very small.
There's a lot of over under 9 songs, over under 3 guests. It's like there's things that there's always gains to be had from these. But yeah, I mean,
there are.
I enjoyed it more than the game. I'll tell you that much.
Well, listen, I'm just going to tell you this. Like people, you talk to people out and about the Super Bowl. It was a lot of people say it was the worst Super Bowl ever.
Definitely not one of the worst.
I don't think I'd go that far. I mean, our Chargers were pretty much one of the worst Super Bowls ever. But I think the fact that the defense was so good, obviously for Seattle, was still a little exciting. You know what I mean? But I will say this: when the punt prop is good after the first half, over 6.5, by the way, you got a bad seed. You know what I mean? It's not a good watchable football game. But good for Seattle. Good they won. I just have one thing. And I'm not down on Drake May. I don't even think that team belonged in the Super Bowl.
No.
but they
Well,
caught
that's the thing. It's like if they don't make it, no one has an opinion on Drake May.
right. No, you're exactly right. But in future games during his career, he doesn't need my advice. But I'm just gonna say I wouldn't mind if he just chose to throw the damn ball in a forward motion before taking the 31 or 32 sacks that happened.
Yeah,
in that game, I would be thankful because sooner or later, Dan, you got to throw the damn ball.
Yeah, I mean,
whether you're throwing into triple coverage or not.
I mean, the Patriots' offensive line got a lot of blame, and some of it's deserved. But as a longtime football watcher, I think we all know sacks are not entirely on the offensive line. They are on the offensive line, and they are on the quarterback, and they are on coverage. There's 3 different ways they can happen, and I think there was a good mix of those in that. I just think it was, it's a 23-year-old kid who never played it. I mean, he played defenses like that before, but he struggled. So,
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can't really count on getting back because he would have been the youngest quarterback he was the second youngest quarterback to make it to the Super Bowl. The youngest was Dan Marino, and Dan Marino never won another Super Bowl. So you can't really count anything. But
no, you can't. No, you cannot.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's come and gone. All right, so let's shift gear and return to prep ranks. Big week for prep football news. Actually, we had the release of Team PAA as it relates to the 69th playing of the Big 33 Classic coming up on Memorial Day. Aliquippa just won a big appeal at the PIAA H. While they weren't at HQ, they did it over Zoom. But they won a big appeal, and we've got a big move too by a couple of players. So obviously we'll get to all that over the next 20, 30 minutes or so. But first, we are thrilled, Dan, to have a special guest. This kid hails from State College High, and he's a name to know in the recruiting process, which we'll talk to him about right now. So let's catch up with wideout and defensive back Max Vendemia. Let's check him out. All right, so listen, only Mid-Penn and Pennsylvania movers and shakers make this space on the report. Max Vendemia checks both of those boxes. So, Max, thank you so much for giving us a few minutes of your time. How you doing, my man?
Good. How are you doing? Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. All right, so let me set the scene. Let's get the ugly stuff out of the way right from the get-go. For the listeners who might not know the early hours of your rookie season with the Little Lions, Week 3 against the Harrisburg Cougars, you suffered a broken collarbone. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, broken collarbone, hauling in a 2-point conversion that forced overtime. First question, how's the shoulder doing? I know you're months removed, you're healed up, but how's everything going with the wing?
Yeah, everything's getting back to normal. It's all healed up, so we're just trying to strengthen it now and get it all back to the way it was before the injury.
Do you hate your PT folks yet?
I actually didn't need PT.
Oh, no PT? Wow,
No.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
I walked in after my first of many ACLs. I walked into a physical therapist, and it was 2 women. And being the cocky 16-year-old at the time, and both of them sat me down and said, "Listen, for the next 2 weeks, you're going to hate us." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm an easygoing guy. I'm not going to hate you." I screamed more obscenities at those 2 women in the first 2 weeks of PT, and by God, they were absolutely right. After 2 weeks, loved them to death. They absolutely did a fantastic job. So anyway, all right, let's get back to it. So how tough was it for you to kind of, obviously you're gung-ho, you're playing minutes, you had real good success the first couple of weeks. How difficult was it to kind of watch this season unfold from the sidelines?
I feel like first few weeks definitely very difficult, but then after like the first maybe month of the injury, everything started getting back to normal. I was helping out practice any way I could.
Nice.
Yeah, well, I kind of want to get to a little bit before the injury because, from our perspective, we kind of see the names of some of the freshmen that might contribute. We get the surveys about, hey, these are some people to look out for. but I think across the mid pen, not that many people at least had you on their radar, especially being kind of that non-continent, kind of the 2 hour drive for everyone from the mid pen. Did you have any expectations this year coming to year? What kind of impact you're going to have? Did coach kind of talk to you about how he was going to use you, or are you just kind of one of those players that you put your best foot forward and see where you're going to land when week one comes?
This year, it was just trying to get on the team, trying to do anything I could to help them,
Mhm.
just help out in practice. I thought that would be my role this year, but then it obviously changed, and I'm glad it did. I'm thankful and blessed for the coach to give me the opportunity to.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that my teammates took me in and made me a part of the team.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
when did coach kind of tell you, "Hey Max, I know you're freshman, but you're going to be contributing because this isn't like you're playing for a little opponent. You're playing for one of the most successful 6A programs in the state and state college." So when did coach kind of let you know, "Hey Max, we're going to call your number a bit right away"?
probably one of our summer workouts, he just pulled me aside and talked to me about it, asked me if I was interested, and I was like, yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Yeah, and in terms of that, did you have any expectation? Because I think the thing we have kind of buried the lead a little bit, but even though you only played 3 games this season, colleges took notice of those 3 games and of those film. You have offers from Akron and Syracuse now. Did you have any expectations coming into this year that your college football recruitment process was going to start this soon? Because you don't see too many kids getting those Division One offers. As a freshman, and I don't know if that was something you were banking on, something you were hoping for, or did the whole process kind of shock you a little bit?
I feel like it definitely shocked me. I
Mm-hmm.
was blessed to receive that first offer. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't believe it at the start. And now everything I feel like is just rolling into place, and I gotta keep working hard and keep trying to achieve my dreams. Feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's the biggest goal here.
Yeah, and for those who haven't seen you play, Max, you're a wide receiver and defensive back. I think you're listed at 6'2", right?
Yes,
Um,
sir.
yeah. What are schools looking at you as more? Or are they just viewing you as an athlete? What do you? Which of the two positions do you prefer playing more?
Personally, I prefer wide receiver, but it's whatever the team wants me to help them with more, whatever I fit into their scheme. And right now, it's mainly just an athlete position until I kind of grow into which one I want more.
Mm-hmm.
But in the coming years, we'll definitely see that.
Who do
Max,
you?
you're. I mean, when you get thrust in that situation too, and get the Akron offer initially, um, did it cause you to kind of think about, hey, listen, what is my sort of perfect college scenario, or is it just the surprise of it all, and say, hey, this is probably obviously the first of many that could trickle in here, maybe earlier than expected, obviously, but if you had a perfect scenario for a college, what would that look like in your mind?
Perfect scenario. I feel like just going to a place that I love playing at. I like all the coaches. I fit in well with their scheme, and I can help wherever they need me to.
Your father Gio obviously was a 4-year guy at Penn State. It was the late '90s, early 2000s, something like that.
Early 2000s.
Early 2000s. So, and he played corner, and he also, I think, moved to wide receiver then. Correct, later on in his college career. Um, since this recruiting quote unquote process has now officially started for you, has he given you advice on how to kind of maneuver through it and how to kind of view these early offers?
Yes, definitely. He's helping me every day with just running like my Twitter page and trying to help to reach out all the college coaches that I can get on their radar.
Nice.
Yeah, and I always like asking, especially for the skill position players, who are some of the people you model your game after? Obviously, you've got a pretty, you're pretty tall for a corner, right? And why even at 6'2", that's a pretty tall for a freshman wide receiver as well. Are there any guys that you think kind of match your frame that you kind of watch and people who haven't seen you play might say, hey, I can kind of see where he takes that from a little bit.
I feel like at wide receiver, Cortland Sutton's more of my build. I like his game, and I feel like I could grow into that. And then at like defensive back, I feel like maybe Derwin James or Yeah, Derwin James definitely. I like how he plays. I like his style. I like his competitiveness and his aggressiveness.
Mhm. That's awesome. Yeah, those are two. You know what I like? Those are specific ones. Those aren't. That's not you saying you want to be like Jerry Rice and Deion Sanders. They can tell you're grinding the film. And in terms of the state college program, like I said, it's Coach Lintel runs one of the very best programs in the entire state. Um, just how much have you in just one year kind of benefited from that, whether it be sort of the leaders on the team, kind of the infrastructure there, and how excited are you to kind of get going in year two there? Because it feels like under in that program we constantly see players continually improve, continually develop. How important has that program been, even in just one short year?
Just in this year alone, I feel like I raised my game to a really high level because practices, they make you raise it. You got to earn everything. And then they're always helping you, they're always coaching you up. And then year two, I'm just excited to work with them. I'm excited to hopefully have our team make a far run in the states tournament. And then we can all have a great season together.
Yeah, what was it like playing in that Harrisburg? Obviously, that was your last taste of high school football of the year, but that was a high level game against a team that made it all the way to the state semifinals, and you guys were neck and neck, and you were competing against obviously a bunch of players on that team that are going to be playing Power Four football. Just what was it? Was that kind of what you envisioned when you were like, "Hey, I'm going to be playing, starting on varsity for State College of the Lions, playing a game like that at home"? I imagine it was a crazy environment. I was there covering it, but I know it was probably crazy.
Definitely not. The atmosphere, I think, shocked me about how
Yeah.
loud it was and all the energy, and
Hmm.
definitely how fast the play was.
Hmm.
But through the first two games, I kind of got a little grip on it, and so the third game, it was mostly just like a normal game to me. Honestly, I felt like I should be there, and I felt our team should be there, and I wish we could have pulled out with the victory. We'll get them next year.
Yeah, nice. Max, I wanted to ask you a couple just recently. Obviously, two of your teammates, we'll call them elders, two elders because they're way older than you are. But Hank Lustig and obviously Daimir Coed were recently named to the Big 33 team. Both obviously are pass catchers, versatile athletes. Both moving on to the next level. Hank is obviously moving just right down the road to State College to play at Penn State. But has their success too, or maybe their work ethic, kind of helped you out too? I mean, having to play, get to play next to those guys, and you being the newbie and the rookie. I mean, how important was kind of watching those guys perform and how they go about their business?
It was really important, especially in the summer with the 7-on-7 programs and all the workouts that we did, just to see how fast that they moved and their confidence on the field and the smarts that they had. With everything, I kind of took away most of the stuff that they had, and they led me and helped me become a part of that team.
Anyone else now up and coming that we should be looking out for?
AJ Fry.
Oh
Other
yeah,
than you, of course.
yeah. He said AJ Fry. He's
Oh, AJ Fry, yeah.
Yeah. When I do the defensive stat leaderboards, and every week it was like, oh, he had another two interceptions. It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I think he had like 9 during the season, didn't he?
Yeah, it was
7 or 9,
crazy.
something like that. Yeah, he's pretty impressive. All right, so what's the outlook now? I mean, what are you doing between now and I'm guessing early summer when 7-on-7s and stuff start? I'm sure there's workouts and things like that. Anything specifically you're working on now to kind of improve your game even more?
Right now, I'm just trying to hone my technique, off-season lifting program, lift 3 times a week, speed and technique work 2 times a week, then go out to the field, play some 7-on-7. Track starts mid-March, so we're looking forward to that to help with the speed. And then just honing in the technique, watching film, and getting in touch with any coaches that I can.
And awaiting the next offer, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
Yeah.
exactly. Dan, you got anything else?
No, I think we covered it all.
Perfect. Max, we certainly wish you the best of luck as you prepare for your sophomore season coming up in the fall. Obviously, good luck, staying sane in what's probably going to be a chaotic recruiting process now. A couple of dominoes have fallen. So, and just thanks again for joining us, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Okay, that was Max Vendemia of State College, rising, we can call him now, wide receiver and defensive back at State College. Already 2 offers in the bank. Many more to come. Obviously, he only got a chance, Dan, to play a couple of games, but made quite an impression. And at 6'2", and what's he, 190, something about that?
Yeah, probably. I imagine that number's going up after all the
Yeah,
weights and
yeah.
stuff.
I think he's got a pretty impressive kid, and obviously we want to thank him again for giving us a few minutes of his time as we rage in closer to the spring sports season, and his comeback from that collarbone injury. So, all right, Dan. So we talked to Max. We got a little quite good banter here out. All right, early in the show we mentioned Aliquippa winning an appeal to return to the Class 3A ranks, where they sit in terms of enrollment over the next 2-year sports cycle. The Quips were ousted by Twin Valley in the 4A semis last year. I was at that game as the snow came down pretty hard over Lewistown in that beautiful Kishbank field on the campus of Mifflin County High School. Anyway, the PIAA's earlier decision was to advance Aliquippa, obviously through its success factor formula, which was overturned just hours ago by the board via 19-10 vote. Now, all of this fell under executive session, so meaning that's, we're not privy, the public's not privy to the details and what exactly was said. But I'm sure Aliquippa's dwindling roster numbers through the years and the arguments over safety were part of the appeal. I've heard other rumblings on why the Quips were pursuing this appeal and trying to stay out of the next class. We can't really go into those reasons. Some, I think, are valid, some not. But the bottom line is 3A just got a whole lot more frightening for other outposts around the Commonwealth. What do you think about Aliquippa moving down?
Yeah, I mean, well, we've talked about it, right? That they were one of those schools that volunteered to move up, and
yeah, I mean, they originally started as a 1A school.
Yeah,
I mean, they were 1A, and then long periods at 2A, they bump up, volunteer to go up, and then it's just been a series of progressions. I mean, they've been back and forth to 4A a couple of times.
Yeah, it's crazy though. You look back and all those Bishop McDevitt Aliquippa games, the series of McDevitt Aliquippa games, and now McDevitt's in 6A and Aliquippa's in 3A. It kind of makes you laugh a little bit about just how these competitive balance things work. But yeah, I can't imagine any 3A coach in the entire state was very happy with the news. But if you're just going by like school size, it's like, what do you want Aliquippa to do? It's like they're not a big school, like, and if they're following every other rule, they should, and they haven't won a state title in a couple of years. They should be back to I think where the school size is set.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't shy away from sort of championing this success factor thing because I think you should challenge your programs. I think these I would
but
love
they're
to
already
see,
challenging themselves.
but they've already right. But my point is that teams like Southern Columbia or and I'd love to see them move up to play in 3A. I mean, you can't tell me they still wouldn't be a dominant program in 3A. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
of course.
And some of these teams that have volunteered to play up, and then they get bumped up, and Aliquippa could go to was essentially going to move to 5A and be in this process too. At some point, there needs to be a barrier, right? There needs to be sort of a wall, because theoretically you could have a team like Southern Columbia playing 6A, 6 years down the road, when they're a 2A enrollment.
Exactly.
So that doesn't make a lot of sense. And the argument's always been too that well, how do you equate a success factor to a 6A school? There's nowhere to go. So there's whatever, I'm gonna guess 90, maybe 90 6A schools, something like that, around the state that would never, this competitive factor doesn't, for lack of a better word, doesn't factor into that. It's not a penalty. I agree they should be moved up, but I do think that if you're appealing to not slide, you should go to your original enrollment, then back. Then you should start. And even if they wanted to volunteer to stay 4A, I would deny that. I think you should go back to where you originally and start the process over. That's what I think. And that's what's going to happen here. So So Aliquippa down to 3A, obviously it causes nightmares for a lot of other programs because even with 26, 28 guys on the roster, they're going to be a powerhouse wherever they fall. Obviously making the state semis last year with a limited crew proves that. And they've been proving it as a whippeal power for umpteen years. So all right, so that's in the books. So let's talk a little bit about Big 33, Dan. Look, let's run down a few intriguing figures named to the Big 33. We always hear some grumblings about the players selected, right? But for many reasons, it's obvious that selecting the team is becoming a more difficult task as the NCAA's calendar is just jacked up, the alignment for these guys. And it continues to strip PA of a lot of what we would call, quote unquote, blue chip guys. The high end Power 4 FBS guys that are really eliminated from this process because they're all enrolled early. You had mentioned, Dan, a couple weeks ago the benefits of that, and we see very few FBS kids, even if they're not Power 4, that are enrolling early. I mean, what are the benefits to doing that?
Yeah, I mean, well, in this transfer portal world, if you're going to have any chance at starting your career off quote unquote right at the college football level, you're going to have to be in that spring camp the same time all those transfers are that are basically they're basically in your recruiting class, but they're 3 years older than you.
Right.
So if you're not there, you're not learning the playbook, you're not learning how things work. You're just so far behind the eight ball. It's not like it used to be where you're going to stay at a school for a couple of years and develop, because that's just, it. I think it's a shame, but that's just the way it is now. That you're not going to a school being like, well, I'll get there, I'll redshirt my freshman year. You're like, no, I need to put tape on, because if I'm not going to play, or if I don't like this place, I need to have tape for the transfer portal. Like,
Right.
even if you go locally, you look at someone like Sean Lee, who was maybe it was kind of a blessing in disguise almost that the Mid-Penn ruled him ineligible for Harrisburg because he went to Milford Prep and got the pit really early and immediately kind of showcased to them that, hey, I'm ready to play for you guys right away, and instantly puts on a ton of film. He impressed in spring camp, instantly made the depth chart, and then I'm sure is making a nice little NIL check now. And I think that's kind of the blueprint for freshmen. Freshmen are playing more than they ever have in high school and college, and I think it's because of that early enrollment, especially at the skill position, the positions that are somewhat related to the quarterback, because you have to develop that quarterback relationship or you're not going to play. And so these players are all going. I mean, we've seen in the Mid-Penn, Kevin Brown's at West Virginia, Tyler Merrill's at Notre Dame, Elias Koch is at Rutgers, so on and so forth. It's become the norm. There's no more wait until summer break to go head to college for football, it feels like.
Yeah, and if people thought the explosion of the transfer portal has kind of wrecked this, not wrecked it, but just altered it for good, the advancement of NIL has tripled that explosion. The power of that explosion, because you're right. If you don't have that moniker, then you're going to move. You're going to jump into the portal and try to, it's the portal is a cash grab. It really, you know what I mean? It's obviously, there are more lucrative offers, and now we're seeing, and now we're even seeing players jump classifications. We see D2 players showing up on FBS rosters now. So the movement can be drastic. And that's has to do a lot with the NIL, but you're right. You have to, if you're showing up, there's not too many players now that show up and hold a clipboard their freshman year or get redshirted, like you mentioned, and then, I'll start when I'm a junior. Well, there could be 2 transfer portal guys coming in ahead of you with all that kind of experience. So you may never see the field. So, it's difficult for these guys not to enroll early. And then again, there are coaches too. When you're going to these Power 4, the coaches say, "Oh, you're definitely coming early." I mean, they're dictating once you sign. That's not an option for a lot of these kids. So it is becoming tougher, I think, to get what PA fans, I guess high school football fans, would hope to be your best guys. And and there's different reasons too. Not every program in Pennsylvania is part of the coaches association. So those players are not selected, or at least not put into the the room where these coaches break out and rank these players 1 to 10 or 1 to 15 or 1 to 20. I mean, linemen, I'm sure it's 1 to 50 possibilities. So don't get us wrong. This is you make this team, you're a damn good player. That's for sure. And we've seen a lot of these guys play, Dan, you and I, over the last couple of years. And so let's run down our mid-pen guys, Dan. If you want to chime in on a little bit of plus, what their strengths are a little bit. We'll start at running back, and Rakai Seville is a guy you and I are both familiar with from Susquehanna Township.
Yeah, he's obviously just been kind of one of those steady guys for Susquehanna Township. What this senior class has been just the group that really flipped the switch for the Indians. And we talked a lot about Torrin Evans, Jared Kern, those guys, but Rakai was a big part of it. Obviously, two-way player, but just a real reliable running back. Glad to see him getting on. Obviously, some of our guys get a little bit of advantage, right, because they're local and it's a little easier to get some of these guys in. But Rakai, he put in the work to get to this spot. So happy for him.
Yeah, Rakai was the guy. I thought he turned out a lot better than I thought that there was going to be. I didn't think Susquehanna Township's rushing attack would be that potent. But I love the way how he gets small. I mean, he's 5'9", 180, not exactly the biggest back, but he gets small through the hole, and he's a tough runner. And him and Tymir Wilkerson from Berwick are your running backs, and I like that. I like those two guys a lot. I think that's a real good fit. We mentioned about Damir Coad with Max. We talked to him a little about his teammate at State College. He's among the wideouts. And Zakir Leaks, another guy from Susquehanna Township. I love when you have a burner, and Leaks is a burner. And it always causes trouble, particularly in the Big 33 game as well, because when you have that outside threat like Leaks, it makes a difference for your offense.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously he's ended up at UConn now after originally coming to Syracuse. We've seen him on the track. We've seen him on the football field. Just one of the best athletes in this game. So well-deserved selection for him as well.
And I hope they throw the ball to Liam Fuller.
Yeah.
Liam Fuller, the tight end from Bishop McDevitt. Temple.
Temple, yeah.
Temple recruit. Was originally UConn. Is that correct, Dan?
Yeah, originally UConn, and Jim Mora leaves the week before signing day, and he has to be quick, which actually kind of ends up being a cool little story because I believe his mom played basketball at Temple, so it ends up being a nice little story. Liam's also on the McDevitt basketball team, which is going they mid-pen finalists this year. Liam was banged up, had a wrist thing, but talked to him right after their loss to Central Dauphin. He said he's fine, that he's going to play in districts, and he said he was pissed after they had lost. So I think that was fueling him a little bit. But then he told me he was going to be the Big 33, and I was like, I'm not really surprised. I think this year it was one of those things where we kind of felt like why isn't he racking up the receiving yards that we thought he might this year? And I think it was really just because he's such a good blocker that they really wanted to take advantage of how good he is in that area too. And when you have a younger quarterback, when you get extra protection like that that Liam provided, I think it made it well worth it. So he was an obvious choice. There aren't too many tight ends that are going D1 in PA every year, so had to go with Liam if he's still in PA.
Yeah, that's just not in McDevitt's passing scheme. It just isn't. The tight end obviously position that you lean on him for blocking, and at 6'6", 235, Liam did a fantastic job blocking for, Nazir and all those guys in the backfield, Maurice Barnes and company too. And Barnes is part of this equation as well as a linebacker. He's a recent signee to UMass. Another tight end is Marcus Yeager from Trinity. Ironically, Yeager was our defensive player of the year because he did a little bit of everything, a step up like DN, rushy, and linebacker. stepped on the line of scrimmage a lot of times. But him and Fuller at tight end is an interesting unit
Two
there.
basketball players too, which isn't that surprising.
Yeah.
You usually get the basketball players at tight end. So
Yeah, exactly. Hank Lustig from State College named as an athlete to the team. We talked to Max too about his teammate. Lustig is a preferred walk-on at Penn State. And then we get down to the linemen, some of these guys in the trenches. Hussein Al-Tharfi is an interesting cat. I love him. He's 6'4", 300, and overshadowed obviously by Kevin Brown along that offensive line at Harrisburg. I mean, Brown has obviously chewed up a lot of headlines over the last 3-4 seasons, really. It'll be interesting to see. But Al-Tharfi, I think, is a worthy guy to have up front.
yeah, 100%. I mean, you just don't get too many 6'4", 300-pound athletes that move like he does. So
Yeah,
pretty simple pick there.
And defensive end, Quincy Smith from Susquehanna Township. I thought Smith was overshadowed a little bit. I mean, Susquehanna's defense was good at times, rough on the edges other times. We'll put it that way. But he kind of goes about his business quietly. But at 6'1", 235, he's kind of an imposing figure. But another Hannah guy makes the team. Linebacker, we mentioned Maurice Barnes, terrific linebacker, UMass recruit. And then, of course, Angel Luciano III from Steel High. Really good football player, Minnesota bound, which is impressive. I love to see guys, from Steel High showing out and traveling a little bit to their college. And I don't know. I think he's a kid that's really going to fit well there.
Yeah, well, I mean,
if everything stays the same, if PJ stays the same, and I think he's going to find a quick home there. I really do.
He'll get to play with Anthony Smith, who's staying for another year too. And Angel's he's a bullet at linebacker. Right? He just flies downfield, and he's been a really fun player to watch. A big reason that the Steel High program did not take the downturn that I think a lot of people might have expected after those state title teams. When they moved up a class, guys like him, Nishan Ward McMullen, James Evans, people like that. Jerome Ross, but Luciano's at the head of that table. They're one of the best linebackers in the state.
Yeah, and the third guy from Bishop McDevitt, who was named, is Tyler Reinhardt at safety. We talked a lot all year long.
Oh, Maurice Barnes too.
Yeah, I mentioned Barnes earlier. Yeah, at linebacker. Yeah. We really liked Tyler Reinhardt a lot. I thought he was one of the best defensive guys that we saw. I thought consistent. Big hitter, made plays, and I just, he's a guy you would expect to make a team like this.
Yeah, I think that he's going to be one of those guys that makes plays in this game too, because he's just he's got a nose for the football. He's got a nose for big plays. He's also a holder too. I wonder if he's going to get to hold some kicks in the special teams game. We talked to him about his future at Monmouth, and he just said he's willing to do whatever it takes to make a team and to do whatever. I wouldn't surprise me if he's a special teams ace too, and at the next level, he just feels like that type of kid. So a lot of these guys, the theme is that a lot of these guys have contributed to a lot of winning. That they kind of went with team players that have won a lot of football games in the area.
And a couple other guys I want to mention too. You have a connection to one of these guys, the punter.
Yeah,
Nolan Carter from Wissahickon, your alma mater.
Yeah, I mean, I was joking. It's like, hey, if my high school has a Big 33 player, then maybe the Big 33 does need to take a look at. But I mean, hey, Wissahickon has put a player to the NFL. We now put a player in the Big 33. I got to find out if I know this family or whatever. Maybe lives in my parents' neighborhood or something. 6'4", 194 for a punter is that's pretty good. Pretty good dimensions we've got there in Ambler, Pennsylvania. So shout out to my Wissahickon Trojans for sending someone to. I'll have to see. I don't think my social studies teacher is the head coach anymore, so I don't think I can reach out to him. But
probably not.
No,
you're getting old now. He probably moved on to bigger and better things. Anyway, I should mention too, David Zapp, a tremendous two-way lineman out of Spring Grove, is an offensive lineman on this team. He was our York County Defensive Player of the Year. Evan Wheaton put that squad together, and a couple guys from Roman Catholic who the locals got a chance to see against Bishop McDevitt in the 5A championship game. Ion Steed at cornerback, tremendous athlete. Ash Roberts is a wideout in that really talented group of wideouts. I mean, this wideout group is pretty impressive. I mean, Zaire Pollard from Millwood Charter is one involved. The Springford kid Blake Turner is involved, and Matt Powno from North Penn. When you add in Yeager and Fuller, at tight end, this is a pretty impressive group of pass catchers, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you got Justice, who's in the back, Justice Gaskin from Roman Catholic is the other safety alongside Reinhardt. They did have one switch. DeJuan Reb from Pine Richland was added to the roster as cornerback. They had one switch a few hours after they announced that. So he's now involved. And then I'll equip a kid in there and a couple other talented guys. I mean, everybody wants to know who the quarterbacks are. Jack Kenneth from Manhunt Township, a solid year for the Blue Streaks. Everybody, it was interesting. The guys in the Lancaster corridor there were telling me, yeah, they like this kid. They like this kid coming up. And, the string of Manhunt Township quarterbacks has been pretty impressive, over the last 8-10 years. So that's what position everybody wonders, okay, is this next kid in line going to be able to come in and do the job? And he certainly has. I'm not as familiar with Michael Eckhart from the Chamonix, who's the other quarterback. But again, it should be a pretty good offense, and it's loaded with these guys that can play multiple places. I mean, you can line up, with the exception of Leaks from Hannah. All these guys can be put in the slot. They obviously all can return kicks, punts, a couple of cornerbacks as well. And so it still should be a pretty dynamic Team PA coming up Memorial Day weekend against Maryland. That relationship, I think, is going on 15 years maybe now.
Yeah, well, because I was trying to check to see if Stephon Diggs had ever played in the game, but because he's from Maryland, and I think he's too old to have been able.
Yeah, at that point they were still involved with Ohio, I think.
Yeah, so it was definitely sometime around then. But I mean, he's an old man now, so it's been a long time.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, we look forward to that game coming up. Like I said, a Memorial Day weekend, and we'll talk to a lot of these guys too in the lead up to that big game. What did I say? 69th, Big 33. Wow. Yeah, it started in the late 50s. That's pretty amazing. But Dan, they just barely hold on to that record, right?
Yeah. I mean, they really have to thank Yasir Durant. They probably got to get him on pick a different team next year, because I don't think the Patriots will be back next year with their schedule. So maybe ask him to sign with someone else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll see if that keeps going next year. But all right, Dan, that should do it for this edition of PA High School Football Report. Again, Max Vendemia, we want to thank for his time. State College freshman, wideout and cornerback, or wideout and defensive back. He's already got 2 offers under his belt, many more to come. So we'll be keeping an eye on him, and we'll have a couple of state guys in too as we get closer to the Big 33 and talk with them about their careers and what the future holds for them. And we'll talk just more football in general around the state. Dan, appreciate your time, buddy, as always. And that will do it. Join us next week.